Womanjika to McClelland. I'd like to pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land on which we stand, the Bunurong. I'd like to pay my respects to the owners past, present and merging. Also, I'd like to pay my respects to the land on which we stand and the waters which surround us, the salt water and the fresh water. These waters have provided for the local people for tens of thousands of years and still provides for our multicultural society today. I'd like to pay my respects to Bunjil, our creator spirit, the wedge-tailed eagle, and Wa, the raven, the protector of our waterways and the holder of knowledge. We make sure that we keep our promise to Bunjil, that we respect ourselves and to respect the land on which we walk and the children within the land. Thank you. Well, my name's Lionel Lauch. I'm a Gunijamara Kurarong Bunjalung man. My grandmother comes from Warrnambool, Port Fairy, Great Ocean Road, the mighty Hopkins River, all that beautiful country over there is my grandma's country. And my grandfather comes from Central Coast, so Tweed Heads, Bowen Bay, Mullumbimby, all that beautiful country there is my grandfather's country, and we are known as the Bunjalung. I live down here on the Mornington Peninsula. This is the Bunurong land, part of the Cullen Nation. This is not my country here, but I do have full permission to teach culture here from the elders. So I specialise in bush tucker, bush foods, bush medicine. There's some amazing medicinal plants. Also tools, so I work a lot with tools. I make all artefacts from boomerangs to spears to nullas to coolamans, stone axes. I do a lot of stone tool workshops as well. I'm here at McClelland. The thing I like most about this place is walking through here, got all this artwork that's hidden in amongst all the trees. Just sitting here now, I'm listening to all the sounds. As I look around, I can see some sculptures around me. I love the sounds of the birds, the sounds that the art pieces are producing as well. McClelland Gallery's been here for 50 years on Bunurong country. This place has been producing art for a very long time. The land spreads all the way from the MCG, all the way down to Wilson's Prom, and all the way down to the Mornington Peninsula, and around Nurm, which is the bay which we call Port Phillip today. Beautiful big stretch of land, the beautiful hills, and they've got the beautiful coastline, full of swamps and rivers and creeks. Traditionally, spring starts about July down here, so we have our first wattles coming out, which tells us it's first spring. So that means the local people will be heading to the coast. When the warmer winds are coming, so the winds are generally coming from the north, the northwest, and the westerlies, they're warmer winds, so that brings them down to the coast. That time of the year, all the plants are flowering and all our fruits are fruiting, so they're on the coast. When the wind changes and comes around to the southerlies in winter, they move away from the coast and they move inland to get away from the cold sea breeze. So they travel around the land. They didn't travel all the way around the land. They would move to certain sections from the coastal areas during the warmer times of the year to the colder times of the year. They move inland, get away from the cold coastal air. The reason why this place is special to me, they're producing art today. The gallery's been here for now 50 years. They'll be here for a lot longer. It's like the MCG in Melbourne. That place is a place of marriage and gathering. And today it's still a place of gathering. It's just really powerful. You can see this embedded in the land around here. When you walk through this land, you smell it in the air, you feel it with the trees. It's got a sense of being, it's got a sense of art. Everything is art around here. So it's really beautiful. All right, I'm going to take you on a walk now around McClelland Gallery through the beautiful bushlands. These trees have been here for millions of years. Take you around and teach you about all the flora that's in this area. These plants have been here for millions of years. I'm going to show you it through an Aboriginal's perspective or an Indigenous person's perspective. Cherryblot, amazing plant, it's a tool tree, bush tucker and a medicinal plant. The wood from this particular tree is one of our strongest woods in southern Victoria for using for making artefacts. Traditionally this wood is used for spears, also our shields, which here in Victoria we call a Perry shield. It's a super hard wood for making beautiful shields, so it's a beautiful wood for making artefacts. Now it does produce a fruit, it's a stone fruit. It's the only stone fruit that we know of in the world where the pip grows on the outside of the fruit instead of the middle. So a month and a half ago, this will be covered in these little red cherries all over it. Little red cherries with little green seed pods on the outside. We grab the seed pod, we throw it away because it contains cyanide, and we grab the cherry and we eat that. It contains antioxidants and vitamin C. It tastes amazing, beautiful flavour. Now medicine. I've been studying medicine for a long time. I've been looking for snake bites and poisonous bites for a long time. This plant here, I found out from some elders that we traditionally made this into some sort of a medicine. They applied it to the snake bite or the spider bite and it got rid of the venom. This is the only plant that I've come across that we've used for snake bites so far in Victoria, if not throughout Australia. This plant for the first year of its life will connect its root system to another big tree. That big tree will help this tree grow to a certain size. Once it gets big and strong enough, it doesn't need that tree to help it grow anymore, it can grow on its own. That is why this tree represents children. The kids today need us to survive to a certain age. When they get old enough, they can defend for themselves. Also used in our smoking ceremonies. So the Cherryblot. Right, this is our eucalypt. Thousands of eucalypts found right throughout Australia. Amazing medicinal plants. This particular one here is the peppermint gum. We use this traditionally in cooking, for our food to spice up our meats, also for medicine. Now traditionally, we'd make these clay balls up out of different clays, different sands and fibre. We put these clay balls on the ground, we get a red hot fire going on top of those clay balls. Those clay balls will heat up and they hold their heat for a very long time. I'll grab a heap of these eucalyptus leaves, generally around here on Bunurong country. We use the peppermint gum or the lemandra gum. We get the leaves soaked in water, we place them on top of the clay balls. They'll start to heat up and start to release their oils. The person who is sick, suffers from a headache, migraine, fever, they'll come and sit down on top of these leaves and the oil from the leaf will get released and they start to inhale it into their respiratory system, into their lungs. So we cover them up with a possum cloak. They stay in there until the medicine man says it's time to come out. So we used it for headaches, migraines, depression, anxiety, stress and fever. Today they use it for colds and flus and it works, it's really good. So our eucalyptus oils, these plants, have been spread all over the world now because of the medicinal properties which they release into the air, which affect the community. Here we have the eucalypts. This is the peppermint gum. Bracken. Amazing plant. Growing up as a young fella, I was always taught that this plant was a weed. All the farmers told me it's a weed, you've got to pull it out, get rid of it. I know now that this is the most important plant in the bush. This plant produces a canopy throughout the bush which protects all our younger seedlings, our saplings, our younger plants. Without this plant, a lot of our plants would not survive. Protects them from the hot grandfather sun, smaller falling branches and heavy rains. It's also one of the largest living organisms on the planet. This plant is gigantic. Tasmania, it's one plant. Victoria, it's one plant. It's a rhizome, which means the root system grows along the ground and this plant grows up from that root system. That root system has been under the ground for thousands of years. We have trees in Australia that are over 10,000 years old. Now we're finding out bracken can be older than those trees. That rhizome root system has been there for a very long time and the scientists are studying it now to find exactly how old it is. This is also a medicine plant as well as a food plant. Now when it's at the mature stage like this, nothing in the bush touches it. The insects will not touch it and none of the animals and the humans will not touch it. But when it's at the young age and got the curly little leaves, you can pick those curly little leaves. The emus, the kangaroos and the wallabies would eat it. The Aboriginals ate it, the Asians ate it and the Europeans ate it. If you pick the little prongs, they taste exactly like a walnut. If you like walnuts, exactly the same flavour. The root system on the young ones, if I pull up the root system, there's all this white starch in there. We collect that starch and we make potato cakes from it. This is also a medicine plant. If you get stung by bees, bull ants or wasps, even mosquitoes, you grab the young curly bits of this plant, you squeeze the juice out of it, you rub it directly onto your bite or your sting, and within about 3 seconds the pain will go away and it will not come back. So it's an amazing medicine plant as well. So bracken, it's not a weed, it's an incredible plant. Acacias. Very important plants found right throughout Australia for the Indigenous people. This here is the black wattle. These leaves are used in our smoking ceremonies and our cleansings here in southern Victoria. I also use these leaves for fishing. If I crush these leaves up into a body of water, it takes the oxygen out of the water, the fish go to sleep and they float to the top. The bark on this particular tree is medicinal bark. I take the bark off the tree, I crush it up with the rocks, I put it into a water and I boil it up and I make a medicinal tea from it and I drink that medicine tea. This is medicine for my stomach and for my mouth. If I have open wounds in my body or ulcers, This is the medicine that I use for that. The sap on this tree is an edible sap. We use it for like a bubble gum or like a jelly. This tree contains 2 different varieties of witchetty grubs. In the trunk of the tree, we have the beetle larvae. In the roots of the tree, we have the moth larvae. The wood on this particular tree is a tool wood, which half my artifacts are made from this tree, particularly spears, a woomera, which is a spear thrower, and nulla nullas I use this wood for. This tree has so many different uses. It represents our elders and our grandparents. Black wattle. This is the Longleaf lemandra, spiky-headed matrush. This is the plant that taught me respect for plants. I used to come along in my walk groups, I'd pull out certain sections of the plant like this, and I feed that to people on my walks when I've got a lot of people. This particular white section is the part that you eat. That's exactly like a snow pea. If you pull this plant out the wrong way, it will cut you like a razor blade. It's a very painful cut. I've done it plenty of times. I was talking to an elder one day after I cut my hand really bad, and she told me, Lionel, you have to learn to respect plants. I thought I did, but she taught me proper respect for plants. She goes, when you come up to this plant, you grab a big clump down the bottom of the plant, you give it a wriggle, and you give it a pull. If it comes the first time, that's the plant giving it to you. If it doesn't come the first time, it's the plant telling you to move on. If you try to force it out, you disrespect the plant, you will get cut. So it's about respect. All plants live in family groups. So if this one doesn't give it to me, I go to its brothers, I go to its sisters, and they should give it to me straight away. If they don't, I move on to the next plant. It's about respect. My whole culture is about respect. Now this particular plant is a food plant like I showed you. The white section of this, which is the edible bit, if you like snow peas, you eat that part of it till it gets too fibrous. The seed, this is the flower, it's died off now, produces seed pods. So the flower itself is an edible flower when it's yellow and young, beautiful, sweet, beautiful texture. The seed, they die off and produce these pods on there, which we use to make a bread. It's actually a wet dough, which we use to make like a wet bread. The leaves are used for fibre. You can use these leaves for making ropes and beautiful baskets. My niece Carla, a young and fibre girl, she makes beautiful bracelets, baskets with this particular fibre. Makes beautiful 2-ply and 3-ply rope. It's a traditional rope that we use for climbing trees. So it has a lot of different uses for it, from bread to the fibre to the edible roots. So Longleaf lemandra. It's all about respect. So come and enjoy the McClelland Gallery. From the beautiful modern sculptures which we have here in the bushlands to Mother Nature's arts. Come and look at it through an Indigenous perspective. Thank you.